I'll do it. I'll do it. Hello, hello. Anybody out there? Had technical problems. Internet was not working, so I could not get my live going. I see you there. You're there, Jonathan. See if I can get. See if I can stop. Oh, no. That's all right. Yeah, my internet wasn't working in the shed. I had to hotspot it. I was in the wrong studio. This computer looks like it's a bit. It's either my head's bent or it's bent. One of them two. I think everybody should be using an excuse to go on live stream tonight to get out of watching football. That's what I reckon. What do you reckon, John? Unless you're going to tell me you're watching football too. I've got the comments set for supposed to be 60 seconds in between comments. But I think it's going to still do it on 1 minute, which 1 minute doesn't say much, but it does. I'm trying to get all this there. In the warm bed, eh? Lucky you. I'm in my beautiful cold shed full of mosquitoes. Yeah, I can't spray in here because of the damn worms. I spent 4 to 5 hours straight yesterday putting them in new homes and stuff. You see behind me there, all them ones. Very busy, using heaps of peat moss. Some people don't like using peat moss, but that's their prerogative. It's easy for me to sift. Normally takes me 20 minutes, 30 minutes to sift them out because of the wet newspaper, etc. Bark. This time I done it, and it took me probably 5-10 minutes to do a whole thing. So I flew for it. So keep it simple, stupid. The old KISS situation, that's what they say. Let's cut up your way, John. Looks like me and you and the mosquitoes are the only one here. Some of those mosquitoes here are the size of a helicopter, I think. All right, you used the worm castings on the beds again. Still got a few more beds to go. Well, there's no shortage of it, John. No shortage of it here. It's still got a lot. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just if it was in peak hour, if it was in autumn or winter, people be knocking at the door wanting it. But yeah, it's not that situation. So ends up you get a shed full of it. But it's good that people can use it for the right things. You can store it away out of the sun and mix it when you want. Natural fertilizer. Yes. So most of the people, or here in Australia, are watching the football, the last match, and the third match I haven't watched any of them. It doesn't interest me. Each to their own. Trying this time live stream on this time and night to see reaction. How many people get on there? If it's just people I know or anything like that. Because I think it's a Aussie again. 80% of my people, my viewers, are in America. So it's 3 o'clock there at the moment. I'm gathering. So they'd be sound asleep. So the 13% are supposed to be watching, subscribe to my channel, or either watching football or not interested in live streams. So this is how we test it out. There's no other way of testing it. You can put polls up and do this and do that, but people still don't go along with it. But so you're not messenger are not showing the stream. Okay. All right. Check it. So can you see your disappeared? How's that? Boom, gone. Where was I again? Here I'm back. I don't know. I can only see your chats at the moment. Live chat or messages visible. Is that better? Is it coming up now? I can see it, but I'm not too sure if you can see it. Technology for you. Freaking Aussies. Yeah, so it works. You can see it now. I can see your chats. I can see what you've wrote, John, but I don't know if you can see, you can read it or not on your side. I text back, so. Okay, I'm not too sure about that one, John. Not too sure. As I said, it's all brand new to me. I'm pushing buttons here and there, and doesn't really tell you much. You can watch these things on YouTube, how people know how to do it, but when you get on there yourself, as I said, I can see your whatever. I can see your chats down the side there, what you've wrote, but that's about it. From on your on the phone. Hello, Bill. Welcome. Thank you. Thank God someone else has got on here. So it's good to see. I'll see how high tech I go and send that. Where about you from, Bill? Get a few more and he'd be better. We got Bill so far. We got John. Wish I could work this bloody thing out more. Yeah, put that time out. Yeah, we're trying to find where everyone's from. I know where John is, of course. There we go. Sorry. Oh, New Zealand. Okay, I don't know much about. I know where New Zealand is. Welcome to my live stream. It's nothing exciting. It's just straight out as you see it. You're in the worm farming, Bill? Anything like that? Any questions I can or you just tuned in to chill out? It's up to you. Get these mozzies out of the road. Can't spray in the shed because I've got all my bloody worms all around me, all in cases and stuff, and don't want to kill any. It's hard to work to get where I've got the can of Maltine to be fixing them. Yeah, that's these live streams are. You see other people doing these live streams and people are texting flat out. So I thought I'd put it on 1 minute, just to keep up with people. But I've got 2 people on there, so different time lapse. It's a bit far away. How's your gardening in that going, John? Good, 2 to be better than 1. Yeah, that's better. That's true, John. 2 better than 1. Yeah, that's for sure. I had someone last time and they kept dropping off. They get on and drop off as soon as they drop off. I don't know it's the internet or what it is, you know. But yeah, I don't know if you watch my channel, Bill, or not. I'm just a small time worm farmer, composting worms, as you can see in the background, at in Sydney, Hawkesbury, and I just started breeding. I've been breeding worms for years, not sell. I've only the last 2 years started selling for bait worms and stuff. Got my own website. Just trying to around the Hawkesbury here. I'm surrounded by big river, the Hawkesbury River, and there's a big demand for bait worms and worms for fishing. So I've decided to, on the breeding side, last year I done good. I bred a lot, sold more than I had. This year I'm trying to change my ways of doing things, learning off other older worm farmers and stuff like that. You're a comedian, John, you are. Yes. Peas are going great, 1200 high at the moment. Must be all that good worm casting, John, you're putting on there. All that good stuff. You have to label things next time I film up there. You have to label things what they are so I don't keep saying the wrong thing. Trust me, the internet picks up on it really quick. Yeah, Bill, so breed bait worms. I got mixed composting worms. I got red wrigglers. I've got probably about 10 of these. You might see over the back of me there, 10 of them, 3x3 beds. They're raising the babies' cocoons at the moment. Oh, there you go. Yes. Hobby farm. Just started sharing castings and worms. Just started watching the channel. Thanks for that, Bill. Much appreciated. You know, I mean, it all helps. I'll only show you what I learned and stuff like that. I've learned from making mistakes. So if you don't make mistakes, you're not worm farming properly, you know. And but yeah, with the castings, I depending what with castings, depending what setup you got, Bill. You see behind me here. I'll get it right in a minute. Where we go? Technology. Here we go. There's sift here. I still hand sift. I have got a big trommel I can use, but if I want the fine stuff, I use the hand sift, which I was doing for about 5 hours straight the other day, doing a lot of worms. I've got them. I'll see if I can turn this around a bit without losing it too much. So behind me here, we're there, all them, all that behind me, all them doesn't see much, all that, and some outside. Took me 5 hours straight. And at a gym when you got to sift like that. I've got multiple sifts I use. As I said, it comes back to what type of worm farm you got. It goes on moisture. It'll go on moisture. I'm probably telling you, Bill, stuff you already know. I'm sorry if I do, but I'm not too sure how much you know, but I'll tell you anyway. So you've got the towers, worm towers. They get moist. If I sold worm castings for 11 years plus to multiple people for exotic plants, cannabis use, all that stuff. They wanted the really good stuff, the good castings. Now, you can use any castings, but depending what you feed them, is what you get back. If you're happy with just food scraps, stuff like that, that's fine. You know, they can get a bit sloppy and stuff like that. You get what works for you, whatever works for you. It's the best way to do. These mozzies coming back through again. So if you're using peat moss or cocoa core, stuff like that, you're bringing out and it'll be a couple of drops, etc. That way it doesn't know that if you're using stuff like that, that's easy to sift because once they eat through that and turns black, like black gold type of thing, as I say, it'll sift easier. Whatever you're using, it comes down to moisture. At the moment, I put a lot more moisture on my bins now because the worms like it and they breed better. But when it comes to the casting side, it comes out like mush. So I've got to put on the table. I've got a little table here, that one there. I'll put on top of that with a light, and I've got to sift through the worms away from the castings that way. It takes me a long time. It's worth it, but even the castings are still wet. Some people will open the bin or whatever they got a day before, 3 days before, and let it air dry it out a bit. But so you just started sharing castings and worms. Just started watching. Yep. So you brand new, Bill. You brand new to the worm thing all around, or you just started. You're brand new to the doing the casting side. That way, I can help you on whatever. It's you can ask 100 people and get 100 people's different comments. Some are very passionate, some are not. I've just started using peat moss at the moment, the Canadian peat moss, because the amount of worms I've got going now, And it's easy for me to sift it. I sift them through the sifter. The eggs fall through the 1/8 straight onto the table. I put the worms back into the fresh bedding and wait. It's 1 or 2 minutes sometimes, Before I had recycled paper bark, free stuff. It gets the moisture too much in it. Pardon me. And then I use I get a lot of food scraps. So I use about 20 to 30 kilos of food scraps every Friday I get. I put that through InSinkErator. You've probably seen it on my videos. It shreds down the very fine fibre. It still holds moisture. So the moisture, once you put that in the bed, the moisture will soak into the cardboard, whatever you got. That's if you've just got a basic worm bin or somewhere where you're pocket feeding them, into where that's not too bad. But I'm putting probably 150 grams, if I'm guessing, in one bin. These slide out bins. There's slide out bins here. So I've got them in there. Got the worms in there. Probably got about 1,000 worms. Sometimes got 500, depending how big they are. I'll put it in peat moss at the moment. I'll put it on top and sit on top. Then they'll come up and they'll eat the peat moss and that. So when I open that bin again in a week or so, I can see if they're eating or not. Once it's flat and it's nice, I'll feed it again. Otherwise, I'll overfeed it because now it's winter, a bit colder. They're not eating as much. They use it as warmth more than food. So where I used to feed them twice a week, now I'm only feeding them once a week. And that's just in my double garage here in Sydney here. And I'm only a very small hobby business. I've got a lot of interest in the bait side for the European night crawlers and stuff. So I've got them outside in probably 12-foot beds, trying to make more room in the shed here for myself. And I've got a few in the shed here, just in the worm towers for people to come and if I want a handful here and there. Not trying to keep up with not trying to make a big business where you can make a living out of it. It does it in the spring and stuff like that when the people are gardening. It'll if you get the right advertising and you be good to people and you look after people, word of mouth, you'll make money a little bit. It's not, you can't go buy a car out of it, but it's good for hobby. I can't tell you exact figures. It's not in the thousands, but the way I work is okay. I sold 70 last year. I know how many I sold last year, and next year I want to sell even more. And if I get the interest in the people coming through, it could only grow from there. I've got a website not long ago. It's about 12 months old with that. And a lot of people go through there, which is I find it better because they just get on there and order the stuff and send it. And it's all good. If I haven't got it, I'll email them back and say it's out of stock, whatever. Because sometimes I could be at work and I could think I've got so many worms, and then I come home and there's not as many. So, but what type of worms do you have, Bill? Is there just a basic composting worms, or is it the any species of worm? Do you know, like a red wriggler or anything like that? And they all got their part. They all got the different ways. Depending on the climate, I've never been to New Zealand, so I'm gathering it to be pretty. Maybe some. You think New Zealand, you think cold, but I could be completely wrong. Sometimes the night crawlers are better for the cold, depending if you want them for fishing, if you want them for gardening. Yeah, and well, John's got he lives at Foster. He's got a garden he's all built by himself, by his hand. There you go. Can of worms for about 16 years. One day I surprised myself with seedlings in the top tier, and now I have 90-foot Polo bins, lettuce bins. Well, that's good. That's good setup, Bill. That's good. That's a good setup you got there, mate. Yeah, well, that's the thing. With seedlings and stuff. I'm not a gardener at all. I wouldn't be a gardener's bum. But I'm surprised when I put like the veggies, or when I didn't shred stuff. I used to just put it all in the worm tower. I'd come out and there's so many things. Avocado. There's all types of things growing out of the bin when you lift the lid up. And it's the same as the outside one. Especially pumpkins, and pumpkins go stupid around here. It's like they're taking over the place. So you had a can of worms. Yep, that's the worm bed, worm bin. Yeah, for 16 years, and one day surprise yourself. The seedlings and top tier. Yep, and 9 tiers. Must be 9 tier. Must be pretty tall. There's a bloke in America. He's got a similar thing, and he uses 44-gallon drums, and he puts holes in the side, and he puts all the worms in there. The worms live in there, and then he just plants the things all the way up. And he has full-size tomatoes, everything growing. The worms are still breeding in the middle of that, but they don't take off. 100-litre bins, 2 baths. Yeah. And the baths also, the bathtubs go good too. You can move them around. Watch your channel. It's called The Weedy Gardener. It's a bloke at the coast, lives off the land, and that's all he does. He's got a big bathtub on stilts, and all the veggies, everything, all the tree trimmings, pretty much nothing leaves his property. It gets shredded down and put on top of this worm farm. And when you first see it, you would think, man, he's going to kill these worms. Like this is but they once they get down out of the heat, enough out of the heat, they'll come up and they'll eat the microbes will break it down over time. He's even got like time-lapse camera things that he puts dead frogs and stuff in there just to show you how microbes break things down and that. But yeah, you mainly have tiger worms, but finding other species creeping in their horse manure. Yeah, you will do that. Well, if it's on the ground, you'll have different ones going in. But even bathtubs, and people don't believe me. I know myself. I got 44s in the backyard, plastic 44s. Okay, so they're up to my hip. I have no lid on them, and the bottom in them, right? The worms, the wild worms, they'll go up and into it. Even the fertilizer I have out there, the homemade fertilizer I made out of scraps and chicken manure and all that stuff in a big 44, I had a screw top lid with a metal clip around it. I opened it up, and all around the top of the lid was worms. In fact, climbed out from the lawn up into there. So tigers, I find I've got mine are mixed. Got tigers, blues, red wrigglers, things like that. And it's you're always get them, and that's what's hard with people that say like I only breed certain worm, like a red wriggler, or I only breed this worm, because unless you're watching 24 hours, the other species worm gets in, Depending how many get into your bin, they'll breed and overpopulate the tiger worm, you know. But tiger worm's pretty hardy worm. They're good with the cold and stuff like that. But they do love the horse manure. You just got to be careful with the horse manure. You probably know already, but make sure it's broke down. If it's your own horse, it's all right. But I was saying someone on the live channel last time, if you get down the road and you get Mary down the road and she's got some horse manure she wants to give you, and you're like, yeah, I'll get it. And okay, you can compost in that. But the number one thing with horse manure is the wormer. So if they paste that horse, and that horse doesn't digest it and it comes out the other end, the worms will what the deworm is in the poo, and if you give that horse manure to the worms, it can kill them off. It's very rare, but that's why they'll compost it prior to it to get the heat, to get the pathogens, and if there's any worms. It's very rare it happens, but they do, so it's out there. What's John got to say? I bury my scraps directly into my veggie beds. That brings the worms in. Oh yeah, that would bring the worms in. Well, that's pretty much the old school way of doing it. It's been around for a long time. It's another way of doing it. It's not nothing to do with worms, but bokashi. It's another way of doing it where they ferment it and put it into a hole. And once anything with the fermenting it, you got to watch it. I've done it here. Very good if you got a lots to do with, but the acidity level goes up high with the bokashi. But that's not what John's saying. But if you directly put it in your garden, and you're not planting on that area, well, it's all right. But if you plant it in the area in trenches, you wait a week or two before that breaks right. The worms break it down, and then put your seedlings, whatever, in that. Otherwise, sometimes it could be too much acidic acid or something in the food because it's not broken down, or it gets heated up. But if it's separated, if you separate your food, put it in trenches, not a problem. It's a lot of people I watch around the world, documentaries and stuff. They're in the middle of nowhere, and that's what they do. They don't have tips. They don't have places where they get their rubbish. They recycle all their paper, everything, and then they have a worm farm or something to break the waste down. One of my channels, I've got one. It's the what's it called? Fermenting bucket. Yeah, fermenting bucket. And all that is, with the bucket's like a lasagna. So you get the scraps. It was actually a good one. A lot of people liked it. That the episode was. What it is, you get the scraps. You shred them down best as you can, or cut them down, and you wrap them in newspaper. So on the bottom of the bucket, you'll put bark or compost, whatever you want to use. And then on top of that, you put paper, rolled up paper, with the whatever you want to get rid of. People use all types of stuff to get rid of horse manure, poo, cat poo, human poo, whatever they want to do. But if you just use it for scraps, they put it around the bucket, and then you make a lasagna. So next week, compost, etc., etc. And you put air vents in the side with I've got with a Coke bottle lid on each side, and put the lid on. Now you put the worms on top, and they make their way down. It will heat up. What happens? Sorry, in the middle. I forgot to tell you. In the middle, I've got a vent, a tube that goes straight up in the middle. So the heat will travel up there and out the top. So it won't affect the worms. The worms will come down into the wherever if it's too hot, they'll start at the top. So the top layer, you give them, say, that much or more. So if it does heat up, they've got heaps to get out of. And then it goes all the way down. It's been around for a long time. But when I've done my episode on there with about the fermenting buckets, which I've learned off other people, it's not my idea. I had people in Brazil, Asian countries, all from around the world. Mind you, I had to use a translator thing because I couldn't understand what they were texting, but that wasn't the problem. And they were appreciating because they'd never seen something like that, because where they live in the hills, they have lots of village. They have a lot of scraps, so they have a lot of stuff they want to get rid of. And as the village gets bigger and bigger and bigger, they had, instead of chucking it in the river or whatever, they want to get rid of it because it brings in rats and it brings in vermin and that. And these people were going to try it because you can do it I done it with a 44-gallon drum. It took 3 months to get through, but I tell you what, they bred better in that 44-gallon drum if it's done right with the air vents and stuff to make sure they can breathe in that, and no vermin gets in. They bred more in that 3 months, and the castings. One of my videos you'll see in one of it, I've got in there. It's I'll tip it into a wheelbarrow. It's black. It's beautiful. And smell after 3 months, you wouldn't know what was in it. Now these different countries. I was even Mexico. I feel there's a heap of countries, probably about 14 different countries, and I'm talking about areas where I don't know how they even got the internet there, but somehow they did, and they were excited. They were excited. They even asked me to make videos on it next time with subtitles, like in their language, so they could understand what to do, because it was very hard to translate. But when someone on the other side of the world texts you back, appreciates the effort you've gone through to show you what it is, it's a good feeling, and I learnt by other people, and that's how we all learn. And these days with the way things are and farming and that stuff, if you can't grow your own veggies, which is, I know it's very hard around here, it's hard unless you want to spend $2 million to buy property, and then they'll probably tell you what you can do, what you can't do with it. Parts of America and around the world, I'm not too sure about even New Zealand, they're starting to live off the farm and sell fruit and veggies off the farm and meat and all that stuff, and into the worms, and use the castings. We're doing a big loop. So back in the early days, say, I don't know, 1980s, probably less, where this was a big thing. Now we're going around the bloody circle back to them days, what they used to do. So we might be too late to be trying, but it's the way to do it. If you I was saying before, I don't know if you grow your own veggies or anything like that, or you just got a basic worm farms. Sounds like you got some type of veggies or something if you're using the castings. As I said in the last stream, the last time I tasted carrot out of a garden, actually John's garden it was, my little one was eating it, and she was eating the dirt lot. She was about 3-year-old then. I thought, I shouldn't be eating that. So one day I thought, I've got to have a look to see how she's eating these carrots, these baby carrots. I'll tell you what, when I ate that carrot, it was the best tasting carrot I ever tasted. Not just because of where it was just so natural. I wouldn't say organic, but it was no chemicals, nothing, and so easy done. And I think if percentage of people spent more money getting farms done to grow this stuff, would be more, the new generation of people and stuff would be a lot more healthy than they are, instead of having all these problems of stuff what we never had before, because all these chemicals and all this bad stuff. We're getting so big. We're getting so big now in the world that we want to grow quicker, sell quicker. So from beef to veggies and stuff, and it's all about money, and no one's thinking about it. And these kids are eating it, and we're eating it, and sometimes it's too late before you notice, what you've been eating, and they're spraying with chemicals. They're doing all types of stuff. It is what it is. It's not. You're never going to change it, but all you need is a handful of people to do it. Worms is the best way. I have handfuls of people last year come to me that they've moved off onto the land, only 2 or 3 acres. They've got composting toilets. They're pretty much gone out in the scrub and lived off the land, solar power and that. I didn't hear from them for about 12 months or more, and they rang me and they were so happy the way the worms are going and stuff. That's because I've told them, what breed, the tigers and stuff, what to, be careful. But just knowledge on what mistakes I've made. I don't know much about composting toilets or anything like that, but pretty much basic, how many would they need, how much you want to feed them. And that's another thing. People get this strategy about, and this is only my opinion, if they say, okay, a worm will eat, so if you get a kilo of worms, they say they'll eat a kilo of food. I used to think that they don't. The proven facts, studies that people have spent money on, they only eat half the body weight. It depends on the age, maturity, and how many's in the bin. So everyone should do it, help each other. Which I'm just saying, yeah. Everyone should do it and help each other. Like, say, so much healthier and better flavors and naturals. Yeah, that's 100% true, John. It's I think I sound like a 900-year-old person the way I talk some days, but I grew up around older people, and I've noticed a change now where people they separate. They're too busy in their life. They've moved away. People don't want to muck. They've got no time. They're flat out for stuff. The last thing they want to do is go in the garden. But for people who are interested in universities and TAFEs and stuff, they should be getting some land given to them and try. There's around here, people are doing it around here. And simple thing down the road, a lady had pumpkins. She grew pumpkins for the kids in the backyard. And she put on there, I've got 50 pumpkins for free. And people say, no, we'll give you $1 for them, and they reckon it was the best taste of pumpkins out. And she's not a farmer. She's just done them in the backyard. But it comes down to, I don't want to sit here and talk like politics and shit like that, but it does come down to higher ups to do something about it. I see schools, even the agriculture and veggie things now in the stop having them here and there. Less kids want to learn about it because I don't blame them, because they know there's no future for them to go out, leave school and go into a farm and farm. There's nowhere to do it. I've watched quite a lot of episodes, different channels in New Zealand on channels and that about people living off the land and different farming out there where they've quit their job and that. I am retired. I am retired. Bill says, I am retired and have time to develop raised gardens. My wife has got more interest in the garden. I don't use fertilizer anymore. We love having fresh veggies. I'm not a master gardener. You know what? No, nobody's a master gardener, Bill. John, he's built his garden. He's on one of my channels there. No one showed him. He done the same. He, one brick at a time. He used all recycled stuff. He's had to restart at Foster where he's now. He's got some chickens. He grows enough veggies for him and his wife, and stuff. Yeah, it all takes time. And the thing is, if your wife's got the garden there, it gives her something to do, and it gives you something to do. Like any marriage, you do need more than you can't sit in the house with each other all the time, because I'm pretty sure I've seen the best relationships in the world go to shit real quick. You need some hobby. You need to get out. One needs a hobby. One needs to do something else. But if you both can do the gardening and you use a worm casting as a fertilizer, it's a no-win situation. It's a no-brainer. It's costing you nothing. You're recycling all your stuff. I get my I used to get scrap paper from my work, but they use plastic in there, so it's too hard to sift. But I get all the cardboard from here and that. Now, the other day, I've got like a big red bin. Oh, it's 5 foot by 5 foot, I'd say. 5 foot long by 3 foot, sorry. It's like a recycle bin. And I put it in my normal bin, and I said to my wife, from now on, put all the cardboard and all the recycle stuff in there, because our little bin used to get filled up all the time. Everyone's whinging how to take it out because it's always getting full, because the kids putting the 1 load of milk in there, or they're not crushing nothing down. Next, the bag's full and everything's full. And you'd be surprised how many things are wrapped in wrappers, plastic, and cereal boxes and stuff. Now, most of that I shredded up in my shredder here for the worms, and they within, I don't know, I didn't know the exact date, but say 3 to 4 weeks, a month, it was all gone. And the only anything was left on there was if it was a bit of plastic on there or something. And you know what? If you with worm castings, if you get it right, you only need 1 or 2 people. Like, you might be able to get them worm castings, even your worms, when you get too many of them. And you could swap it for something. You could say to people, well, now I'll give you a bag of potatoes for this or that. We got a group down here at the Hawkesbury. I don't have a lot to do with, but it's good. The barter. And now and then they have the seedling. They have their seedlings, and there's you swap them and that. They used to have days where you go, bring fruit, like it's been grown in your own garden, not just bought from Woolworths, and you'd sit at the table. John's been there before, I think, and people would say, "Oh, I'll give you this for that." 4 oranges for avocado, whatever. I'm only making it up, but you're getting 20 people coming together, never met each other in their life, and they're all got the same mind. They're all loving, and they're having a good day out, and everyone goes home with veggies. It costs nothing. All it costs is a fuel to get there, and most of the people here are local. So I've never known anyone to grow veggies and not be stuck with them, especially fresh stuff. And people with it watching about sprays and stuff, it's you can't beat the fresh. I'm not too sure, like in New Zealand, what they have, if they have Woolworths or some type of store like that. Over here, you got Coles and Woolworths, and what happens? You'll go to the organic section, and you might get some garlic instead, right? And it will cost you $30 a kilo or $60, some stupid amount of money. And you go around the corner in the same shop down the other aisle where it's just normal garlic, and you're paying $10 for it. They want people to pay more for the organic stuff. It does taste different. I tried spinach one day. It does taste different, but there's no labeling on it. It doesn't tell you where it come from. So they could just get the same spinach and put it in that aisle, and you never know the difference unless you try both of them. Most organic stuff When I don't want to sound like a hippie or redneck in it like that, but we'll say fresh garden, your own. We won't all say organic, but it's stuff we know it's grown in. Okay, you'll get out. If you got spinach or you got whatever, and you put it in your fridge, okay, it might last you a week or more. You get a Woolies or Coles or any of their stores, you don't know how long it's been in there, and you get it home, and next day or the day after that, it's all black. You're like, what the hell's going on? My fridge must be playing up. They're not meant. These veggies are not meant for long term. They're a quick turnover. And as I was watching a documentary the other day about apples and stuff, they're saying sometimes they can be in the factories overseas for 2.5 years, 3 years before the shop buys them. That's how long they're stored for, and they spray them all with this fertilizer to make them all go green the same time. They're all red, and that same the avocado. So when they come into the store, you see people shop with their eyes and go, "Oh wow, look at this! They're all beautiful. Everything's no spots, nothing on it." And you go home and it goes off in a couple of days. So you can't beat fresh, homegrown stuff. And as I was saying, with the worm side, we have. I had a gentleman the other day. He lives up the scrub up of Dubbo, away from where I am. But he's never on. He's only a weekend person. He goes to his farm and then leaves it. And he's got a massive big garden, and he wants to start up. The problem is he's got a lot of magpies. He's got a lot of different types of wildlife up there. Get in there, and echidnas and stuff to get in there, eat the worms. So I sold him some worms a while back. I actually gave him some worms, and then he said they all took off. And I told him, with his raised bed gardens, you probably know Bill yourself, you got them, the same as John. You can't have them. You got to have them pretty deep. You can't have them like where you can touch the bottom of. He's raised bed gardens of bricks and stuff. So the birds and that, they know where there's good stuff. They're getting in when he's not there. Magpies are getting all the bloody worms out. And they're not stupid. Why would they want to go and wait for one to come out when it rains and they just go in his garden? So I told him he's got to fix his garden up a bit. But even he said when his veggies are going good, you can't beat it. He reckons it's fresh, very, very fresh, and you don't need a lot of veggies. You don't need a lot, depending what you like. Basic things, spinach, beans, celery, whatever you like to eat. Sweet potatoes. Well, pretty much with the castings, I've got a small bed outside. It's not a raised bed, but it's pretty deep. And everything I've put in there, because I've put castings in there over the years, and biochar and a few other products in there, no fertilizers. And then with the worm castings, you can make the worm tea, not what you get out of your can of worms. You put it in a bucket. You probably already know. Put in your bucket in like a tea bag form, mix it around with an aerator in it, bit of molasses for the microbes. Let it go for 24 hours with a bubbler in it. It'll foam up. You know it's ready. You get that. You water it 1 to 10 ratio. I don't worry about that. I just put it straight in the gardens. If you even tip it on your veggies, it won't burn them. It's natural. But that attracts all the native worms, not the ones you put in. The native worms that come up, and they're the best ones. They're the best ones because when it gets too hot, if it gets too hot, too cold, they duck down. They'll go down into the ground. Where the composting worms are only sitting the first few layers. It gets too cold. If you don't put bark or some type of bedding on top where you can keep them warm from winter, they'll die out. They will lay eggs and leave the eggs, and then when it warms up, the eggs will hatch. But that's what I've heard, especially in colder climates. But John's retired too. He and his wife's retired a while back. Worked his ass off for many years, as most, and gardening gets him out of the house and gets him doing stuff, enjoying the warm weather. And when you put the hard work in, you get it back. You get stuff back. But anyone tells you they're the master gardener, they're probably AI or full of shit. That's the only way I can say it, because I've met people who've got massive garden. Well, the people that had the people here, well, not here, but in the area here, they had a community garden, massive big one. They got grants, they got everything. It was good because people helped volunteer, and they helped, and they got the garden going, and I sold them a few worms here and there, and they ended up doing their own thing. I sold a lot of castings to them. But the only thing is that they didn't think about flooding area and water and all that stuff. And the first big rain we had, what beds didn't get washed out, the rest got flooded. So they started again, and I think it's about 20 or 30 grand later in the grants, they built all back up again. And same thing again, they're flat ground, they put it on, ended up a swimming pool. So they've given up. They give up now. So the plants are a lot healthier with very little insecticide. Yes, I find that Bill, with the plants will be a lot healthier with insect damage. John showed me one time I was at his place before with that too. You still get caterpillars. You will still get like caterpillars and moths and a few other things, aphids and stuff, but not much. A couple of people I've been in their gardens and looked at, and they got really nice gardens, and older blokes in their 80s, and I've like, how do you bloody get this thing so good? It's amazing, And they say, well, look over this side of the garden. You go on one side of the garden, and there's spinach and rockery, where they call it, a few other veggies, and it's all been eaten out. They reckon if your veggie garden hasn't been getting eaten by bugs or aphids or anything like that, you haven't got some type of damage, you're not doing it right, because that's a good sign of healthy garden. That's what I've been told. It's a good healthy garden where the pests can come in and have a bit of a feed on here and there, and but you got enough just to harvest yourself. It's good. They say you need to have. It's a healthy garden because it's nature. That's nature. They're coming in and they're eating stuff. It's you got bees, and they pollinate the certain plants, as you know, and all types of things. It's it's we have aphids here. We have all types. John will probably know better about. John will know the names of some bugs around. He come across them a lot more than I would. We get stink bugs here. They get on the fruit tree. They'll wreck a few trees, a bit of fruit, but there's still enough for harvest to eat. But depending on your climate too, if you're in a hot or you're cooler climate, that can be a factor too. That can be good for the pests. I've also seen in another garden, in between all the veggies, the lady had mint. She started growing mint and parsley and something like right in the middle rows. And I said, "What do you got mint there for? That's unusual." She said it keeps some of the pests don't like the smell of the mint. So what they do, they'll land on the mint and they taste it. They don't like it, so they'll pack their bags and get out. But that's not all. That's not all bugs. And like anything, the old YouTube and word of mouth, you can make your own organic stuff if you have to. But most of them, I reckon you wouldn't be able to have to. you wouldn't have to do it, making your own stuff. It starts with the soil. As I said, I probably watch too much bloody YouTube, too much stuff, but I watched one last week. I can't remember the name of it. And pretty much they said it starts with a healthy soil. Okay, it doesn't matter what you use. It starts with healthy soil, the microbes. If you don't have microbes in your garden or in your farm, it's called dirt. It's not soil, it's dirt. I think it was called the Dirt Farmers or something. I could probably find out. And all this tilling and all this farming over the years that they've been doing and killing tons and tons, like they're going down 3 or 4K down under the ground, digging down to try to, these farmers now to put topsoil to try to build it back up to grow the corn and stuff, because they've just when it rains, it just runs straight off, and just nothing grows. With soil, the soil is that the soil will take the moisture, like if it's got bark or something, it'll take the moisture and hold onto it, and the rest will just drip down into the earth. So that's the biggest thing. They say it's soil. Soil has got microbes in it. It's, as John said, you can put your veggie scraps in it. You can people put catch a dirty carp out of the river here, or fish, and put it near the bottom of the trees around where the root systems are, and all types of stuff. And you look back years ago. I probably should have listened in history and might have learned more, but at school. But it's a mind-blowing, back in the 1800s and all this stuff, where what they used to do on farms, they never had this fertilizer and shit. This is how they learned. And even some countries are still up in Brazil and that. I've seen some documentaries. They're right up in the hills. The only way you get in there by plane. And they don't have no fertilizer. They do it all natural, all down the side of the hills. Some of the hills, they've got to use a rope to get down the bloody hill to pick their crop. And it's all on the side of the hills. And they've learned all this way. And there's the most health. And these people are living to 110, 105 year old, because their body's healthy, and they're getting all these oils they're having in that. It's just sometimes it's too late. A lot of people waiting now. They're getting I wouldn't say diseases, but they're getting different things with their bodies through food. And now they're going, so I'm going to start eating healthier and eat fresh veggies and then they feel the difference. But it's too late when you're older and something catches on you, Okay, so what's John got here? But planting, companion planting works, John. Yep, free nature fertilizer, worm castings, all adds to the strength of the plants, making crop with it does that. You're right, Bill. Never too much YouTube. I reckon YouTube's that bloody good. I reckon if you're really, really keen, you could operate on someone. I reckon you could probably look it up, but it's not recommended, Bill. Don't go do it and say that I'd said on my live stream to do so. But you can pretty much find any. But as John said, that the worm castings adds a strength to the plants. All microbes are the biggest thing. You won't see them with your naked eye. If you've got 5 different plants and one's going to be yellow, right? Nutrition, it might be iron, whatever it is. I tell people what it is. The bad microbes in the soil, it's in your soil, right? Doesn't matter. Some people buy soil from elsewhere, so they're bringing problems into the garden. But it sounds like, Bill, like you probably do all your own, so you know what's in your garden to start with, right? But if you've got the bad microbes in that garden because you bought the stuff from elsewhere, compost from elsewhere, okay, they're microbes. Unless you're in a microscope, you won't see them, right? They look like a little worm. And they go across and they look for weak plants, the root system on the plants, and they survive on the bottom of the roots of your veggies in the plants, right? And that's why some of the plants will go yellow or discolored, okay? Now, I tell people you put some worm castings in the hole before you put the seedling in, or water around the outside. You probably know all this already, Bill. Just water around, it goes in. Now, on the roots of that plant, on the bottom of that plant, it has like a blockage for the bad microbes, right? The good microbes get attracted to it with a certain smell. They can smell, right? This is what the universities and the smart ones that get paid to talk about it more than me. The bad bacteria that goes along and tries to eat the plant, the roots of the plant, right? It doesn't like the taste because it's castings, worm castings, right? It doesn't matter what worm casting you put there, they don't like the taste of it. So that the bad bacteria, the microbes, he goes elsewhere and he looks for some other plant. So that's what I tell people, when you see in your garden, you got depending what plants you got, what veggies, and they're dying off a bit. If it's that way, just simple thing, put some worm castings in a bucket or a tippy thing and mix it up, and just tip it around your garden, around your plants. After a few weeks, the good microbes come. They start eating. They start getting healthy. Rest of your garden's healthy. There's so many things out there. I tried. John's done it too. If you just get a 44 and you put all your garden scraps, garden clippings, all your stuff out of your garden, you can put veggies. I didn't put veggies in mine, but all the lawn clippings, tree leaves, stuff like that, in the 44, we'll fill it for the water, and just leave it. And it goes off and ferments over time, over a month or two, and it really stinks. It's really nasty. John's done a couple. I know I've done a couple with horse manure, and that's if you don't like your neighbours, put it between your houses. It'll work. It'll upset your neighbours real quick. Some people even do the fish emoji that way. But anyway, I tried it out, and I said, "Oh, we'll have a look." Each month, every so many weeks, I'd open it up, let the air come out, let the smell come out. Get a big stick, big broom, go and stir it up, and the grass is fermenting. It's just going away. So it's just like green water. It looks nasty water, right? Now, they say after a month you can use that. I left mine for about 3 months, and it's just water. It's stinky water, right? In this big tub, in the big 44. All you need is a little shot glass, 100 ml, whatever, and you put that, like trying to put your fingers in it because it stinks. Put that into your water container, and you sprinkle that not directly on your plants, but around the root system. I tell you what, it brings it right to life. It's really good. I've seen it on the Korean gardening or Korean nature, whatever it's called, and they do it all. That's how they do it. Korean farming, natural farming. You can put it on your bed. If you put it on your bed prior to it, right, like the soil, whatever you're going to put before it, you leave it for a week, it breaks down, gets into the soil, and the nutrition and all the goodness in that soil. So when you put the seedlings in or your plants, whatever, they just suck up all that. They suck up straight away all that good moisture and all that stuff, and and gives them a good start. And that's also very good for bugs. They don't like the smell of it. They don't like to dig in the soil or get on the leaves. But that's not a spray. It's just to put on the soil. I think actually Korean natural farming, I think it's called, you see it on YouTube. They do all the EM. They make rice water and all types of stuff. It's for different types of pests, for different types of gardening. It's all natural. It's been natural for a long time. I think Korean natural farming, I think it's called. Yeah. So that's true, Bill. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that never stop learning. That's it. Every day you get out of bed, you're learning. But well, as I said, John's learning. John and many other people I've known have started from scratch from the backyard. Might have killed something in that, but as I say, I don't sell as many castings now, but I was selling back before COVID. I was selling up to 80 kilos every couple of months or month to farmers and stuff. Because COVID was on, everybody was at the home doing farming and that. Everybody's going back to work now, and it's not as wanted. That's why I've gone on back onto selling the worms now, the worm side, and it's just starting from scratch. But yeah, I have a lot of people ask that. A lot of people come to buy the worms or the castings. They want to know, okay, I'm starting from scratch. I have actually from where I live at the Hawkesbury here, we get a lot of states. The high population there from overseas, pardon me, Indians and Pakistanis and from around the world, and they come and they want to buy the castings because they're sick of buying. They've got big families, live in one house, and they're sick of buying veggies. And even they said when they were back in their country, they lived off the land. And when they come here, it's too easy to just bring up DoorDash, whatever, and bring food to your door. So they're trying to teach their kids the way they got learned by growing veggies in the backyard. And you'd be amazed how many have come back after a few months or a year later and or sent me photos and gone, it's, it gets time for them and the kids to spend with the kids to get out of the house off the Xbox and they get outside and water them. They have a bit of a worm farm. And when the kid waits and eats that spinach or whatever he's growing, they think, oh, that was fantastic. It gets them excited, gets them out of the house. And we all need to get out of the house. Married or not, you need to, get some hobby. You get bored. I come home from work and be a stressful day, or come home and have a disagreement with somebody in the house, whatever it is, have something stupid. I'll come in my double shed, muck around my worms, feed them, sift them, do little things, and within an hour, them minor problems are gone. So this is my it's a hobby going in a small business, and I get to enjoy it. The other day, after 5 hours of doing sifting, that's because I previously used paper and stuff, and when I had to get these worms out of these and put them on the table, it took me so long, and it just takes the fun out of it. So most of the commercial people and people that do it on big terms, some of them, not all of them, will use the peat moss or cocoa coir, and that way when I put the veggies on top, it soaks it up, and I don't have flies and stuff. I still get a few flies around here and there on the boxes, fruit flies. You can never get rid of them. That's why I don't have it in the house. It's easy to sift because after 24 days, 25 days, I'll sift it. And through them sifters you see in the background there, I just use the 1/8 things, 1/8 or 1/6. It's a bigger one. I just use that. And the worms will stay on top. Any baby worms that I've missed from the previous one, or the eggs will go straight through onto the table. So then I just put them babies into these big totes behind me here and just keep filling that up for next year. and doing it that way, and the worms go straight back into these into these drawers here. I've got multiple of them. There's probably about 30 or 40 of them, and they're just them drawers. Are just the kids used to have their clothes and they throw them out. Their drawers from IKEA, something cheap. Does me. They're plastic. When they break, I just buy another one. I don't have nothing fancy here, apart from the sign. That's the most I've ever spent. But keeping it simple, stupid, that's the situation with Ink. It's worm farming, veggie growing, whatever you want to do. I've heard some, it's the bigger, the more I'm growing, the bigger I'm growing. What amount of worm stack do you need to keep up cells? Well, that's a good question, Bill. I doubled up from last year. So what I originally done, I've got my worms from all the good commercial blokes, to get the good stuff, good breeders and stuff. Last year I had probably about 10,000 worms, breeders last year. And what happened, I put them in these bins behind me, right? I put them in there. I put 1,000 in each one, or 1,500 in each one. And I've got like 10 of them. You can't really see them here. I've got some stacked over here because I'm not using them at the moment. So I think it's about 10,000 worms last year, and I just let them go for 8 months, and then I started advertising, and people wanted it on Marketplace and on my website. Went crazy. It was like so many people, and they wanted big orders from. One bloke wanted 50 kilos, and it was like no, pull up there. I don't even own 50 kilos of worms, but mainly orders are a kilo, 2 kilos, stuff like that. So because it went good, and I almost messed up home. I better check how many I've got left. When I went around with my daughter and went around to the totes here and checked, I was lucky I did when I did, because I started off at 10,000. I only had about 4,000 left, breeders. So I sold half my breeders plus what I owed. So what I went in. So now what I've done now, I've got about 20. So now I've got about. This is a rough estimate. It's not exact. People out there will say, "Oh, that's not a figure." About 30. I think I've got about 30,000, going towards 30,000 breeders now. And each of these drawers, Bill, I've got them here. Let's see if I can show you or not. Oh, not a cameraman. So let's see if I can show you there. I'm on a laptop, sorry. So in each one of these, right, they're not real big. And you see the scraps here I've got there. But I've got, find where they are. They're in with the feeder. So each one of these, I've roughly got about 1,000 or 500 in each drawer. And I've got about 40 drawers. About 40 drawers there. Plus, I've got some in other containers. It's hard to show on the screen because I've got on my wife's laptop. Sorry. So it just depends what you want to achieve, what you want to do. See, most people, what they'll do, or even yourself, if you get, depending how many you got, if you find you're getting to a stage where, because the worms are only get so far, say the bathtub, they get that many of them, and then they're smart. Worms are actually smarter than most humans because they know when to stop breeding, which a lot of people don't. So when there's no food, less food, they'll stop breeding, etc. Gets too cold, if it's too hot, they'll take off. If you got a lot of feed, they'll keep breeding. But a lot of people don't have a lot of feed. Feed them like they'll feed them out of chicken laying pellets and stuff like that. That's good. Chicken crumble, all that chicken feed is all good. But when it's costing you $25 a bag, and you start going through it very quickly, especially if you feed it and then your kids don't know they're feeding, and your wife feeds it, and next minute it's the thing's cooking hot because people don't know what they're doing, or the communication. It happens all the time. What I suggest, just get, you're probably already done, Bill, just grab a handful, like 250 grams is roughly about 1,000 adult worms, right? Give or take. You can never get the same amount size worms. People say to me all the time, "Oh, you sent me all these small worms. These is too small." I say, I understand what you're saying, but when I weighed them, there's 250 grams of worms there, which is roughly 1,000. But them smaller worms grow up. You're gonna get about 3,000 worms there. Okay. In a few months, they got back. Oh, I've got too many. You give me too many of them. I'm like, that's because So if you, depending on sales, as I said, this is only my second year, Bill. I have bigger people on the bait side that like tackle shops and stuff. They want to buy big, but like anything, for me to sell to them and they have to resell, I won't get as much as I would if it's just sold someone off the street or on my internet. My bait worms I was selling up to European night crawlers because all the big commercial people were sold out. Some of them are taking it 1 or 2 years to even get back on their feet because they oversold. They sold way too many. But what they're doing, they're supplying shops and stuff, Bunnings and big, so they need heaps and heaps of kilos. Otherwise, they're on the contract. With me, I could stop tomorrow. It wouldn't worry me. But I'm just trying to get bigger. So I started off for 10,000. I went out and bought some. I bought some more off commercial people more. So don't worry, I forked out $400-500 or more on worms to get back up where I started. As I said, we make a mistake. I sold more than I bred, and it took me this time to get back where it is. So this time, what I've done now, instead of putting them into the bins behind me and just leaving them and feeding them, and another 8 months coming up and just sifting them all and selling them, I put them in them trays that I just showed you, and they're all my breeders. So once I sift them out, I sift them out with a hand sifter. I'll sift them out on the table. The eggs will fall down. The castings out. I don't really keep the castings, because they're not ready anyway. They're only half eaten. So the castings will fall down. I just get that and I move that into a bucket, put that behind me here where the babies and eggs, or maybe the cocoons and that. And that way, whatever's in there next year, another 5 months, I won't know yet because now it's cooler and not as breeding as much. Most worms have 3 to 4 eggs. Some of them, tiger worms, have about, I say maybe 3 to 4, some depending on the temperature, how they're going, breeding age. So, they're going to triple in the amount very, very quickly. Long as you've got good moisture, right food, and the right climate, they're right. They'll breed. They'll breed. They're the easiest thing to breed. But if you don't have the moisture and they're too dry, they'll die because, as you probably know, Bill, the moisture in the worm, they need moisture. Without moisture, they die or they'll take off elsewhere. You've got like blue worms. I know in New Zealand we've got worms here called blue worms. Very good composting worms. they overpopulate any other worm in the bin. They'll breed like almighty. But with climate change, and I don't mean climate change as melting ice, and I mean if tonight it starts to rain outside, any blues I have in these mixed bins here, we call them suicidal blues because they take off. Unless you get a lid on them, they'll take off. And that's one breed here in Australia that not Australia, but most of breeders they hate. If you ever want to get an argue, ask them, do you breed blues? They don't really like it. But yeah, so for next year, when I get all these totes, each month I'll put each month I'll get all these bins here. That's why the big bins there, you see, I've had to use all them because I ran out of room. Because I was lucky. I purchased some red wrigglers, which they're in the normal composting one, a bit bigger than a tiger, but I've got them to try to use them as a bait worm for people cheaper the fish when they're paying $1 for a bait worm for the European. But when I bought them off season, so people trying to get rid of them. They composting people, the big places like I normally want $80. I'll take $50 from whatever postage. So I bought some. I bought 2,000. So I end up getting about 6,000, probably even more. I started out unwrapping them, getting them out, and I kept having a look and put them. I said, this is 1,000. I've still got a heap to go. So I had heaps. Anyway, they had young ones with them. So I've got like 6,000, 7,000, maybe 8,000 worms just there. Now they're tending to breeders, and they've had babies. So each one of them has 3 babies each. It just gets, before you know it, gets out of control. So now when I've sifted the other day, all the babies that I missed previously when the ones I bought, the egg cocoons have hatched. They're half grown. So I've had to use these big plastic tub things here to fit them in because I've run out of trays. So I suppose that's a good thing for me because it's cost me nothing to breed them. But if you got the worms, Bill, like it's up to yourself. You can people. I'm not too sure about New Zealand. I don't know much about New Zealand. It's it's one with TV and stuff, but you keep whatever stock you want. You can have some times where you make a mistake and you kill a heap. I've done that many times. I got the brewery grain off someone, and it was from some where they do the beer. And I thought I'll feed the worms that, so I got a whole bucket and tipped it in one of these big totes behind me. And I didn't realise it's going to ferment and heat up. And it cooked them alive. And I lost thousands of worms in one overnight. Even just the other day, just behind me here I was lucky with a heat mat behind my big bald head there. There's a big ass heat mat there. I got that to try to warm up the eggs to make them quicker, the cocoons, so they hatch quicker, so I get more population. Now they said put the probe into the soil, and once it gets to certain degrees, it kicks off. So it's like 25, 24 degrees is meant to kick off. I checked it during the day. It was working. It was good. I went to work, night shift, to come home. I could smell something burning. I haven't got it here. It's running somewhere. I had the worms in the big foam boxes. There was salmon in that come in, and the box had melted. The box had melted into the heat mat and cooked the worms. So yeah, whatever amount I had, I might have had, I don't know, 10,000 worms in there. Babies, they're all gone. They're cooked, fried worms. So we live and learn. We make these mistakes, when this is how we learn. It's to give you exact details what per worms I need. I won't know until next year. I don't. I have people want to say to me, if you want to supply this amount of worms, 500 a month, I'll take them off you. I'll sell them at my bait shop, or I'll sell them here and sell them there. I can't guarantee it because I'm at the bottom of the ladder. I don't know I don't know how many is going to come out next year. It could be triple the amount. It might be just even. But but as I say, with sows, as you're saying, with the sows thing, not a lot of people go on my website. When the warmer seasons they did, but at the moment it's a bit quiet. So I go on Facebook, and they never, in the Facebook marketplace, they never used to let you sell worms on there, but they've changed the rules at the moment, and that's where I got my lot of volume from there. A lot of preschools, schools, all types of things. People just, I'd go on their message and turn my phone on because I do shift work the next day, and there'd be 14 messages there, and people are desperate for them. But it's a seasonal thing, like most. So it's what you. It's like anything. It's like veggies. The harder work you put in, what you're going to get back in the flavour of the veggies. And if you don't care about it, check on the veggie garden now and then, and just put whatever in. You don't care. Well, you're going to get out. You're going to get what you put back in. Yeah. So it's. I hope I've been. Not too boring, Bill, and been some type of help. I'm not a miracle worker. Just trying to help more people with worms farming and stuff like that. The biggest thing with this live stream is it's actually finding the right time for viewers, because, as I was saying, a lot of my viewers are in America. So at the moment, I think it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. So they're not going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be watching the live stream. No, I wouldn't be. The live stream people I looked up, they're saying, between this time and this time, people getting home from work and etc. But between you and John and me, we're the only ones here. So I might have to get off shortly. So I'll stop rambling, and unless you've got any other questions to ask Bill or John, I'll wrap this up shortly. And hopefully next time I'm on here, I can try to do a certain time. The last time I was on the stream with a gentleman in America, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. It was 7 o'clock where he lived. So, but he didn't get many people on live stream. It's one of them things, one of them subjects that people in there, if it's about gaming or about high subjects that people like to talk about, they get on there. But subjects like worm farming, unless you're into it, or farming, it's not a big one. But all right. Well, any more questions, Bill, you'd like to ask before I go? I don't want to cut you off. So you're my main customer, main chat person. Much appreciated for watching my videos and getting time to listen to me and stuff like that. And pass the word around, and I'll try to get these live streams as much as I can in the right thing. And if not, you can watch my normal channels. You see the links. I've got no links there, but just go on to DNA Worm Castings, as you know already, and watch the previous videos and comment on some old ones, and shoot a comment and a like. All right. Well, I'm going to end this stream, Bill, if you're still there. And thanks, John, for coming on. And hopefully we catch up shortly, John. You can show me your garden and chook farm and all that good stuff, all the hard work you put in there. But at least we know we're not alone. He's retired. He's got all his worm farm and his garden sorted out. So, all right, Bill, I'll let you go. Stay safe, the pair of yous. Thanks for tuning in to my live stream. And you already know my DNA worm castings. Like, subscribe, share, comment, good or bad. And thanks for stopping by. Have a good night.